Man, nature just destroyed Hansu's nurture. What's up everybody, it's me, it's Blake, and I just want to go ahead and get a little bit of a buzz in your ear about maybe, liking and subscribing down there. Put the bell on, but also comment what series you'd like us to do next. I mean, think about it. So many options, and I want to bring you what you want to see. So if you have something that you would like to see me break down, make sure to comment below. Episode 7, it's pretty crazy. We start in Yokohama in 1923. Young Hansu is returning home from his job as a tutor to see his father doing calculations on a slide rule. These are very sought after traits at the time, so obviously they're very educated, and that's really good, especially in Japan for Korean people. You see that they have a great relationship. They kind of joke with each other, they can be honest with each other, and it just seems like Hansu is happy in a way. His father says that he's hungry, and as they're leaving, they see where his father works. He works at a boxing facility thing. It seems to be very underground on the hush-hush, Hansu's very interested in the fight. It's an American sailor boxing and a Japanese probably judo master, you don't really know, but it seems like he's doing a lot of wrestling and kind of weight distribution, so that would be judo, so I'm just guessing. And while they're at the boxing match, his father is called over by his employer, which is this kind of gangster, very early Yakuza type character, and the owner of this underground boxing ring. He says, I've heard that you are amazing at arithmetic yourself, and maybe you should come to work for me. And his father says, no, he has a great job teaching an American family, and he needs to keep that. That's a big deal for us as Koreans. Like, these are big step ups for us. The gangster, to his credit, understands this, but he is still kind of disappointed by it, and he says, your Japanese is getting a lot better, Hansu, but that's not going to make you one of us. This is an amazing episode, and it's going to really tell you who Hansu is. How did this person become the way he is? How did he lose all the values that other Koreans hold so dear? It's just a very interesting thought to me, and I just can't wait to explore it more. So hold on a little bit, we're going to get into it. Hansu is the tutor to a really bratty, rich American kid, and this kid is probably 18, 19 years old, and he does not understand books, and he also does not understand the world. He still calls his mom mother. He is very much underneath the umbrella of his parents' control, and he is not looking to grow up, as opposed to Hansu, who was forced to grow up, who is smart, who is tall, who is strong, who is independent. It's a very big contrast between these two people. This young man says, Mother, Yale, which Yale is a big part of Solomon's future. He says, Mother, Yale would be so much easier if Hansu came with me. Could you talk to Father? And this is totally a doable thing. So they go, we'll talk to Father. And he basically says, oh yeah, like this is gonna happen. Hansu is somebody that is self-taught and could go to Yale and do all of these things. Then you have this rich American kid who just cannot figure it out, but he's gonna get all the riches of the world. The mother says, hey, would you mind taking this to my husband? And Hansu rushes off with the letter, and he proudly gets to this gentleman's smoking club for rich Americans only, and all of the help is Asian, and he proudly gets there, delivers the letter, and the men are talking about how they're going to use this country to build greater wealth. And it's all in the name of progress, but they have to know that they're also going to destroy a culture that has been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Hansu sees all of these things, and it's something that he takes in. He delivers the letter, and the guy says, oh yes, okay, it probably wasn't even an important letter. Hey, we're having people over. Sometime later, Hansu and his father are sitting outside, literally on the other side of a fence, and they bring up some food, and all they can do is listen to a game that they obviously can't afford to go to. And they sit there and they talk and they joke, and they kind of get to the subject of money, and everything is still jovial until his father says, if you get to go to America, you're going to America and you're not looking back. It doesn't matter about me, it doesn't matter about anyone. You might be the person that needs to stop looking at the dirt and start looking at the sky. Hansu is on his way home and he overhears a conversation between his father and his boss, the owner of the underground boxing place. And all he hears is his father begging for forgiveness. Look, I've only done it once. I will never do it again. I promise you I will pay it back. I was hoping you wouldn't notice. As soon as I got paid, I was going to pay it back. And the father says, I'll have the money in a few hours. And the guy goes, that woman is just no good, and I told you that. That's whenever Hansu walks in, and his father says that he'll never understand because he's not in love, and you've never been in love, and you've never been with a woman, so how could you ever really know what it is? And she asked me for something and I had to give it to her because I love her so much. And Hansu says, I don't think I'll ever know. They both go to this woman to say, hey, I need the money back because I have to pay this off. And she goes, no, I'm so sorry. I don't have the money anymore. I gave that money to a man that I'm in love with. So it's just this circle of suckers, you know what I mean? The father is dejected. This is the woman that he said that he loved just a few minutes ago, to find out that she's really doesn't care about him at all and just was willing to take money from him so that this man that she's in love with could have money. So he feels like crap. He's talking to Hansu, and Hansu says, well, look, I can go take a loan from Mr. Holmes, the White family. They like me. I'll explain the situation and hopefully they'll take pity on us. And he says, no, you can't do that, because what if they don't take you to America? We'll figure this out. And that's whenever his father says, you need to forget me in your heart and just move on, because I am a disgrace. I am an embarrassment. But Hansu says, no, I will help you. We're in this together. And that's when his father just starts punching him in the face. He says, you're not welcome back home anymore. I need you out of here. Hansu is left there crying and he doesn't know what he's gonna do. And next thing you know, the father is sitting in front of the gangster and the henchman, and the gangster wants to know, where's his $200? He says, I don't have it. I will work for free until I pay it off. I promise you. And the gangster starts saying, what if other people find out that I'm letting people steal from me? And right then, Hansu barges in and says, I'll work for you for free, and my father will also work for you for free, and we'll pay off the debt. The father gets desperate and irate, and he starts to say, please, he has a bright future in front of him. He doesn't need to be involved in any of this. Please, just let him go. It doesn't matter. Let him go. That's whenever he gets on his knees and he begs at the feet of this gangster, and he says, let me pay the debt. Basically, whatever way you feel fit, just leave my son out of this. And Hansu gets on his knees right next to him, metaphorically saying, if we're in this together. And that's whenever everything starts to shake. The building starts to crumble and people start to run and scream. Hansu's father is grabbing for him, and Hansu can't get his footing and he falls down, he hits his head. He wakes up just enough to see his father get hit by a falling beam, and then he goes back to unconsciousness. He wakes up again, his father has passed. The gangster is grabbing him and begging for him to, hey, we gotta get out of here, we gotta get out of here. There's gonna be an aftershock. Hansu is just looking up at the sky that he looked up at before that was beautiful, and the street that he grew up on that filled him with so much community and happiness. It's all destroyed and it's covered in ash, and everything just seems like all of the joy that was in this place has just been sucked out. When he looks up at the sun, the red rings through the ash makes it look like something really scary and not like how he looked at it before. The Great Kanto earthquake was absolutely destructive in every form, in every way that an earthquake can be. It killed over 100,000 people, with 40,000 people getting lost in the chaos, tsunami, and firestorms. It was so powerful that a huge statue of Buddha 37 miles away moved 60 centimeters because of the earth shaking. And when I say huge, it's a big statue. And after this, in the hysteria and the chaos, certain Japanese people used this as a time to hunt Korean people because of certain rumors and things like that. And it's estimated that thousands of Korean people were killed by basically lynch mobs of Japanese vigilantes. Yeah, The Great Kanto earthquake really sucked. To his credit, the gangster is really stepping up. You know, a leader is a leader no matter what form of leader that takes, and he is starting to help people, and he's starting to get people to safety. He wants people to get out of the city and get to a place where there can't be any falling debris or fires or anything, even if there is another aftershock, and also higher ground in case that there's a tsunami. I'm not entirely sure how much they knew about tsunamis in 1923, but they do get to a higher ground and they can see the city out in the distance. Hansu's grieving. He is not taking all of this well, and he is ashamed of himself that he left his father in the city to either burn or just be buried in rubble and possibly become one of these undocumented 40,000 that they just don't know what happened to them at all. And the gangster, again, to his credit, says, hey, don't you have a golden ticket to America? Look around you. Orphans were made by the 100 today, but you have a golden ticket out of this mess. You just need to get to where you need to get to and get out of here. And he picks him up and he basically says the same thing that his father said. He said, you need to forget this place, you need to forget the people, and you just need to go. So throughout the day, Hansu must have painstakingly, slowly got himself to this mansion that this white American family is living in, and he sees them hastily packing their cart up and getting ready to get to the boat, which probably isn't a good idea because of tsunamis. That's why I'm not entirely sure how much they knew about tsunamis, but there is also the chance that this gangster is just smarter than these rich white folk. Hansu's invited to go to America and he's relieved by this, but that's whenever he kind of takes charge of everything. He says, you can't go back into the house. What if the house is destroyed? And he says, we can't take this cart. We can't take all of these things. They start stuffing their pockets with things and stuff like that. They put pearls around Hansu's neck. This is all money. This is just to keep money, to have something to trade. And they just start on foot. Whenever they get to the city, it's awful. You can't see, you can't breathe. Everyone is just walking in a single file line trying to get somewhere safe. And it's starting to get to Hansu. He's still a young man and he's starting to think about his father probably. He's seeing all of the people that lived in the city with him going through all of this, and it's hitting him different than the American family. He's seeing the dead bodies and he's thinking about his father and his friends and all of these things, and he's starting to fall behind, and they're looking for him. They're like, Hansu, come on, Hansu, come on. And that's whenever the aftershock hits. All you hear is this huge explosion, and Hansu can't see. He can't see where the American family has gone. That is kind of his ticket, not just out of this hell that he's in right now, but also to a better life. He can't see them. He has no idea, and he can't hear anything. And it's just ringing and ringing and ringing. And then finally, he slowly starts to hear the screams of all of the people around him. And he looks up just long enough to see the mother running away, and he knows he's on his own, and he knows that he has to keep up or whatever, but he just doesn't know what to do. It's just all too much. Hansu eventually meets back up with the gangster, and thank God, really, because he has lost the pearls. He doesn't know what to do. It would be hard on anyone. He has tried his best and everything, but this is not a situation you can be prepared for. As you're traveling, you see these rows and rows of dead bodies. On a cart, kind of special, there are these two white bodies, and it is the mother and the son that he used to tutor, and they're gone. Nothing anyone can do. He reaches into the pocket of the son and he sees a gold watch. He doesn't grab it to loot or anything. He grabs it as a keepsake, as a way to remember these people that did so much for him, that he did truly treasure. The kind of carefree world that they lived in was something that really meant a lot to him, something that he had strived to be in. They get to a tea house and they ask for a stiff drink, but the owner of the establishment says, we do have tea and we'd be honored to serve you even in these situations. And a woman comes out with the tea and she's shaking so much that she can barely pour it, and the gangster reaches out, pours it for her and hands her the tea back. It's just amazing trying to see a person trying to show some form of decorum and dignity in such awful situations. As they're drinking, someone comes out and says there's a prison that has been overrun and all the prisoners have now escaped and 300 Korean prisoners are on their way. Just then the hysteria kind of breaks out about all of the horrible things that Korean people are gonna do. That they're coming, they're gonna rape everyone, no one has a way to get away because all the buildings are destroyed, and they leave right away. As they're on the road, they encounter this old man telling 4 Korean men to go hide in the barn, but the Korean men don't understand because they don't speak Japanese. So Hansu runs over and he says, hey, the Korean man's saying go hide in the barn. He knows the owner of the barn. Just go hide in there. It's the best that we can do right now. Go, go, go. Just then, this vigilante squad, lynch mob looking for Koreans. Hansu hides in the back of the wagon, and first the old man tries to stall for time, I guess. Like, what are you doing kind of a thing? Like, who are you? All of this. And he then says that he did see the Koreans go that way, but the Japanese death squad or whatever says, let's check this barn anyways. Whenever they go in there, they find the 4 men, and instead of killing them, they just light the whole barn on fire while they're alive. Hansu sees this and he starts to weep and almost convulse in fear, and the gangster grabs the wagon, says calm down, and they leave. Hansu and the gangster continue on this journey. They find the family and everyone's alive. It's the exact opposite of what happened to Hansu. The gangster tells his family that Hansu is going to be staying with them for a while because Hansu needs to pay off his father's debt. And I don't really think that the gangster cares about the debt anymore. It's just that he doesn't want Hansu to let his pride get in the way of getting a sturdy roof over your head and a future, and you don't want to be alone right now. And then you see Hansu sleeping next to them. They are all cuddling each other and holding each other because of the traumatic experiences, but Hansu is a little bit away, just leading you to believe that he's gonna be a little bit alone for a while, maybe the rest of his life, who knows. And he looks up at the sky, just like his father told him. And that's when the episode ends. Okay guys, there's really only one character to talk about in this one, and that's Hansu. Hansu is normally the villain, but we're starting to see what might have made Hansu become this way. Hansu grew up poor. His father said that if you're only good at one thing, you need to stick to that one thing, and the only thing that Hansu's father was good at is making other people money. At Hansu, he's a tutor, but he's also a Korean person in Japan, so he's treated underneath Japanese people, but then he goes and he sees these Americans that are above the Japanese people in social status at this time, and he sees that there's a way out of it. He sees that there's an above. He sees that the Japanese people that keep him down are not the top, that there's an above, and then there might even be an above that. And whenever the earthquake happens, his life is completely changed, obviously. His father dies, everything that he knows is destroyed, everything needs to be rebuilt. But who comes out basically okay and seems so strong? The gangster is a leader throughout the entire thing. He never loses his cool. Even when the earthquake is happening, the gangster is in control. The gangster's family is completely alive. So who came out of this almost completely unscathed? The gangster. He became the person that wasn't affected by the most traumatic experience that Hansu ever went through. You might become that person too, wouldn't you? I don't know, it's something to think about. Thank you so much for watching another video. It means the world to me. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, put the bell on, comment if you think that I missed something, comment if you think that I was really good, comment if you have an idea for the next series that you want us to take on. It would mean the world to us. So yeah, I will see you next. You have a great week.